And everybody log into MakeCode and let me know when you're there. All right, awesome. Make sure you guys click on new project. And I'm just gonna name this one LSR. So Lego Sweeping Robot. That's what that stands for. And then I'm gonna say maybe autonomous mode. Since we're using the ultrasonic sensor today, so it can move by itself. All right, does everybody have this yet?
No.
Okay, are you on MakeCode yet?
We're getting there.
We're opening up our laptop.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right, awesome.
Oh my gosh. Already? We're there now.
All right, awesome. Everybody else there? Yep.
Cha-ching!
Awesome. Okay, so I guess the first thing we should do is what we've kind of been doing before. So every time we use a sensor, we kind of show the input on the screen. And so that can help a lot with like kind of like debugging and kind of troubleshooting through your problem. So if you are having trouble with the sensor, it'd be good to know what the sensor is like reading, so what the values are reading. So let's go ahead and do that. So we want to display our text first. So we want to display the numbers that the ultrasonic sensor is reading. So first off, you guys remember what the ultrasonic sensor does, right? Yeah, so it measures, what does it measure? I thought you guys said you remember.
Doesn't it do sound waves or something too?
Yeah, but what does it like measure? So like the touch sensor measures like your touch. Pulse sensor measures like the reflective light intensity. Ultrasonic sensor measures
reflective light. Wait.
No.
Wait, what sensor? Wait, what sensor?
Ultrasonic. So the one that we're using right now.
It measures distance.
Exactly. So it measures distance, and in MakeCode it's only not inches, centimeters. So we're gonna have to use centimeters, and luckily I do have a ruler here because I'm not really used to centimeters. So I have a ruler, so we kind of like know what we're measuring. So I'm gonna delete the onStart block, and let's go ahead and display some text. So we want to display the values that it's reading first. So I'm gonna go into brick, and I'm gonna go all the way down to where it says show value. So when it says show value and it has a little quotation marks and then equal. So I'm gonna put that in there. And I'm gonna type in the show value box, I'm gonna type distance, since that's what the ultrasonic sensor measures. I'm gonna move it, sorry. I'm gonna move like the line. I'm gonna make the line maybe farther down. I don't know. Maybe line 5, let's try that. Okay, maybe 6. I'm not sure if you can get it exactly in the middle of the screen, but we can try. And if you want to move it more left or right, I'm just going to put a bunch of spaces so it's kind of centered.
Why are you putting all that space?
So it's in the middle of the screen. So when I don't have any of the spaces, it's like right at the left, and I kind of find it better if it's just like right in the middle of the screen. But that's up to you. You don't have to. and our value. So after the equal sign, we want to show the sensor value, so the distance. So I'm going to go into sensor, and I'm going to go all the way down to ultrasonic sensor, and where it says ultrasonic for and distance. So this is what I was talking about earlier, Sid. When you're asking which port, so all the sensors have a default port, so they're all different. So ultrasonic sensor is a default of port 4. So that'll always be 4 when you bring it out. So it might just be a little bit easier to plug your ultrasonic sensor into port 4, so you don't have to keep on going. All right, and when you put the distance, it should show you the value on the left here. And when you move the bar up, it should show the changing values. So download that and try it out. It should work. Of course, it's already working in the simulator, but try it out on your ultrasonic sensor. So not the simulator's ultrasonic sensor. And make sure.
Wait, we're downloading?
Yeah, so download this. So it's just gonna show you the value. Nothing fancy yet. All right. So we want a robot to just move around by itself. So we want it to avoid walls and I guess obstacles that's in its way. So what we could do is we could tell it that if there's nothing in its way, we want it to keep on moving. So we want it to keep on moving straight. But if there is something in its way, we can tell it that we want it to turn left or to turn right. So let's do that. So we're going to use a if statement. So if you guys go into logic, the second one that says if, then, and else. So I'm going to bring out that one. So the one that says if true, then do something, and then else, do something else.
Okay, so I downloaded it and it's working because it's doing a different distance. Okay. All right, there we go.
All right, all set?
I'm all ready.
I don't think okay, never mind. Sorry, it's not plugged in. Ultrasonic sensor is not turning on.
Is it plugged into port 4?
Yeah. Yes, yeah, it's plugged into port 4.
Okay.
It's like turning on and then turning off. Like the lights come on and then they come off again. It's weird.
Do ultrasonic sensors run on batteries?
Say that again. They run on batteries.
Do they?
All the sensors use the batteries inside the EV3. Okay, now it's working. There we go.
Oh, okay.
All right, there we go. Okay. All right, so we can tell the robot that if there's something in its way, then we can tell it that we want it to stop and make a turn. But if something else is not if there's nothing in its way, then we can tell it that we want it to keep on moving. So this else, that's where we're going to put our robot movement. So go into motors and go into the one that says steer motor, and we're going to bring that into our else block. So this is just the robot normally going in at 50 speed. And another good important thing that you guys should use are comments. So let me see if I can find them. They're not in brick. I think they're in an advanced block.
No, you need to right click on the screen. Right click.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. It's the right click. So yeah, if you want to add a comment to something, you right click on the block itself and you click add comment. And a comment is just a way to like remind yourself what something is. So I could put like normally, I don't know, going forward or something like that. So whatever you want to put, and you can move it around so it's not blocking your code. But we have our robot now just going straight when if nothing else is happening to it. So if there's no obstacles in its way. So let's go ahead and do the first if, which is, yeah, did someone say something?
Do we need the comment?
No, you don't have to. I'm just showing you if you want to comment.
Also, how do you move the comment around?
So when you add it, all you have to do is click on like the top where you
Oh, you just
color.
hold it?
Yeah, it'll bring out the little
on the
hand,
top.
and then
Oh,
you
okay.
can move it. Yeah.
Wow, you can move it far.
Yeah. All right. So in this first if, yeah.
You press the little trash can for it to go delete.
Yeah, to delete it.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, so in the first if statement, we're going to put our logic. So we're going to say if our ultrasonic sensor is at a certain distance, so if the object is a certain distance away from our robot. So in logic, we're going to bring out the second one that has the less than, so the little alligator mouth. And I'm going to bring it into the if statement. All right, so in our first little block, we're going to put the sensor value. So it's going to be this same block. So go into sensors and go all the way down to ultrasonics and click on the curved one. So the one that says ultrasonic distance. And this is going to tell us our ultrasonic sensor's distance. So the same thing that's displaying on the screen is what the robot's going to be reading in this if statement. So it's going to say if the ultrasonic sensor's distance is less than, and right now it's 0, but we're going to change it to another number. So we're using centimeters. So let's try like 5 centimeters to start with.
I can't get the ultrasonic sensor, like the thing that, like under the ultrasonic sensor picture, to go to 5. I can get it to like go to 6. I think it goes by 3s. I don't know. Maybe it's just because.
I don't think you can like type into it. Yeah, you can't type into it, so you have to like slowly move it. I don't think you can zoom in either.
Yeah.
But that's why we kind of have a range. So we're not saying equal to 5. Notice how I didn't put the equal sign to 5, because if we did this, then our robot would almost never avoid the wall, because this would mean that our robot would have to be exactly 5 centimeters away from the wall in order to turn. So if it's like 4, which is even closer than 5, it would just keep on going. So that's why we're using the less than. So that way, if you do the simulator on the left, you don't have to get exactly 5. You can go under 5, and it should still work. But we don't have anything in there, so it's not going to do anything right now.
So, Coach Aid, I just changed, like next to the ultrasonic 4 distance, is the less than thing, and then next to that is the number. I put that to 6 because I can only have it go up to 6.
What do you mean you can only have it go up to 6?
It's just really hard to move it. Like,
yeah,
I can't get it to 5. So that's why I just moved.
So what I'm saying is that whatever number you put in here, it's not going to be that exact number that you have to get to. So mine right here is 5. So if I were to move the sensor on the left, something that's less than 5, it's still going to work. But I don't have anything in there, so it's not, nothing's going to happen. So you can put whatever number in here. It's everything that's less than this. That's what it's going to.
Less than what?
Less than 5.
Okay.
And if you want to get even more, a little more precise, you can put the less than or equal to. So that'll include things that are less than 5 and 5 itself, instead of things that are just less than 5. All right.
So I put my thing at 3 centimeters, my up and down thing. 4.
Okay. Yeah, 3 centimeters is a little close, but yeah, you can try that if you want. All right, so the next thing is what we want our robot to do if it does encounter a wall or an obstacle. So this would mean if our robot is less than 5 centimeters away, less than or equal to 5 centimeters away from an object, then it's gonna hit that object, and we don't want it to hit.
I changed it to 6 centimeters.
So what we can say is that we want the robot to stop. So I'm gonna go into motors, and I'm gonna click on the stop all motor block. So the robot's gonna stop. And if you play on with the simulator on the left, try moving your bar all the way, just try 0. And the robot should stop, or the wheels should stop turning. Then we move it past 5, it should continue rolling. So we want it to stop. And here's where we can kind of get fancy a little bit. So we want it to stop, and then we of course wanted to make a turn. But I think before we wanted to make that turn, I think it's a good idea that we back up a little bit, because if our robot is like right at a wall, 5 centimeters away from a wall, which is kind of close, if it turns, it could still hit the wall. So let's say we want our robot to move back. So I'm going to go back into motors, and I'm going to click on the one that says steer motor. So the block that we've been using, and I'm going to change the speed to -50 this time. And rotations, we can make it move back for 1 rotation. Let's try that to start with. And of course, I should put this after my stop all motor block. All right, so the next thing that we can do is we can make our robot turn. So what we can start off with is our tank motor block. So I kind of prefer that one to turn rather than the steer motor block. With the steer motor block, you can do the turn ratio, but I kind of prefer the tank motor. That way we could tell it, we can make both of our wheels turn instead of just having one of them turn and one of them stay stationary. So I'm going to go back into motors, and I'm going to click on the one that says tank motors. I'm going to put that under my first 2 blocks. So after the stop and then after the steer motor block. And now, depending on how you have your motors plugged in, it'll turn left or turn right. For now, we're not going to care about that, but later on, if we have time today, I'll tell you guys how we can make it do a random turn. So we can make it go left or right. The robot will pick randomly. So right now, I'm just going to make C turn negative. So that, I think for me, that's my right wheel. So right now, my motor is going to turn left. So whatever wheel you make negative, it's going to turn the opposite way. So the positive wheel is going to, that's the way it's going to turn. And let's do this for maybe like 0.7 rotations. I'm not sure how much is exactly 90 degrees. All right, and I think we can try our program now. So let's download this and see if it works.
All right, I'm down.
What was that?
I'm starting to download.
Okay.
That's what I said.
Oh. All right, so I tested out my robot, and it seemed to work good. How about you guys?
Mine ran right into the wall.
Uh-oh. Is everything copied exact? Make sure your program looks like exactly like mine.
Do I have to add the space for the distance?
No, that's not going to affect it. That's just going to make yours look like how my simulator looks like. I just prefer it to be exactly in the middle of the screen. It kind of looks centered like that, but you don't have to do that. Yeah, so my robot, it looks like 0.7 is really close to a 90-degree angle. So mine like did a perfect 90-degree angle and kept on moving right and avoided the wall. And oh yeah, my screen is still recording. So if you guys want, you can look at my screen and see the robot move.
Coach Aid, can I just show you my screen because it looks exactly the same to me.
Okay.
But I'm just gonna show you just in case.
Okay. So also make sure your ultrasonic sensor is actually like plugged in and working. And a way you can do that is play the program on your robot and make sure you're playing the right program as well. And just hold it in your hand. Don't let it go on the floor and look on the screen and try moving your hand like in front of it and see if the values change. So make sure that like this distance that's showing on the LCD screen, make sure it's actually changing. That way you'll know that your ultrasonic sensor is actually working.
Okay.
How it work?
All right, can you see me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
No, can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
Oh, okay.
All right, how about you, Sid, Karthik? Do you guys have any luck with the ultrasonic sensor?
Tell me it worked.
Coach Aid?
Yeah.
Our program went straight and it ran into.
No, it didn't. It worked perfectly.
It just worked perfectly.
Yeah, it did.
It did? Awesome. That's great.
It ran over part of a chair because it wasn't a wall yet.
Yeah.
But when it hit the wall,
okay.
it stopped perfectly. So it was
But the cord went down and
yeah, it tore the motor.
unwrapped.
But it's okay. We just have to do better with the cord. So you used to hide the cord better.
I have to wrap it around the ultrasonic sensor.
Yeah, our robot's kind of small, so the cords might be a problem. I just try to tuck mine in, or maybe you have like maybe one of the Lego rubber bands that might help.
Yeah, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Do you have a robot to test this on, or?
Oh no, I was just fixing my robot, so I have like a totally new version of him.
Oh.
And yeah, because of the caster wheel, and now I'm gonna program.
Okay. Make sure you copy the programs too, so you like have something to test it with when you try it.
Coach Aid, I'm gonna try something.
Are you still having issues?
No, I'm trying to see if what I'm doing right now is going to work. Again, running right into the wall.
Make sure do you know how to do the port control, the port view on your robot? You can try that and make sure your ultrasonic sensor is like working. Do you see the red lights? Is it on?
Yeah, my red lights are on.
All right, what port did you plug it into?
I plugged it into port 4.
Okay.
And is the thing port 4? Port 4, port 4. BNC, BNC. Okay.
So make sure, yeah, the major thing is make sure your ultrasonic sensor is actually measuring values.
Then didn't you say, Nina, you had the number is 3 instead of less than or equal to 5? Didn't you say it
I have it less than and equal to 5, and for like under on my screen under the ultrasonic sensor, it says 127 centimeters. I don't really think that, but anyways, yeah. Maybe I'll try and just put my hand in front of it. I'm gonna try that.
All right, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna build upon this program. So this is the basic program to avoid walls, and it should work every time you play it, but let's get a little more creative. So I think I talked earlier. So right now it's only moving, depending on how you have your robot plugged in, it's only moving right or left when it encounters a wall. So let's make our program move either right or left. So let's make it pick a random way to turn. Yes.
I think it's working.
Okay.
I did it and it went forward. I put my hand in front of it. It went back and it didn't.
Awesome.
Well, I stopped it before it finished the full right turn.
Okay.
But I can.
Okay, that's fine. That's great though. All right, so we're gonna make our robot pick a random point. So way we can do this is we can use some math. So we haven't really used a lot of the math block, but if you go in here under math, you can see a bunch of the stuff that it has here. So you can add, subtract, divide. You can do a bunch of math operations, and some of these you guys might not know, like remainder and maybe absolute value. But you can do a bunch of those. Yes.
Mine works like when suddenly something like goes in front of it. Like if I ran it right now, like it starts off with the wall in front of it, but it'll just run into it. So like if something sudden has to happen,
yeah, it doesn't,
and then it'll go back and turn.
Yeah, it doesn't have time to register if something's already in front of it.
Yeah.
It'll just,
so,
yeah. You have to start it out with nothing in front of it. That way it can know if there actually is something in front of it. Because if you put your hand in front of it, when you turn it on, it'll think like that is the nothing, if that makes sense.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure it's working the right way.
Yeah, it's working. Yeah. All right, so we're in math. So we want to use, there's a pick a random number block. So we're going to use that. And you're probably wondering, how are we going to use a pick a random number to turn left or right? But we'll use some logic that we've already used, and we'll kind of make it turn left or right, depending on what number it picks. So the first thing we also want to do is we want to do a logic. We want to use some logic. So we're going to use the if statement. So we'll actually use the second one. Yeah, we can use both, but we'll use the second one. That'll be a little bit easier. And I'm going to drop it in at the bottom of my program. Or not the bottom of my program, after our 3 blocks here. And then I'm going to press the little plus, and I'll press the minus. So now we have the if and the else if. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into logic and I'm going to click on the first comparison block. So the one that has the equal, then I'm going to put it in my if statement. So now this is going to say if two numbers are equal, then it's going to do something else if, and then we can actually put something in there as well. So we're going to put the same block. So the same comparison block with the equal, we're going to put it in there as well. So if something is equal to something, then the robot will do something else. If something is equal to something else, then we'll also do something else. So now we're going to use our first variable. So we haven't talked about variables, but a variable is basically a way to store a number. So let's say if you're making a program and you want to use the number 3 a bunch of times in your program, instead of typing 3 every time, or let's use a bigger number. 3 is really simple. If we're going to use the number, I don't know, 184, instead of typing 184 a million times, you can use something called a variable, and a variable will hold the value of a number or even a string or even text. So we're going to use a numeric variable. So if you guys go into the block that says variable, the red block, we're going to make a variable. So there shouldn't be anything inside there because we have to make a variable first. So we're going to make a variable. And a variable is going to be called whatever you guys want, but I'm going to call mine, I don't know, num for number, short for number. And I'm going to click OK. And then it should give me some blocks to use for my variable. So we wanted to pick a random number. So in variable, I'm going to click on the one that says set num2, and that's going to be this second block. So I'm going to take that one out and I'm going to put it right here. So after my green blocks, so after the motor blocks, but before my second if else statement. And now we're going to put the pick a random number block that we brought out. We're going to put it into the set block. So it's going to be in here. So what we're saying is that we want the robot to pick a random number between, right now it says 0 and 10, but it's going to pick a number between 0 and 10, and it's going to set our variable to that. So what that means is if I, and you guys don't have to do this, I'm just showing you, but if I go into variable and take out this num, so this is our variable, if I let's say I put it in here, this value is going to be a random number. So it's going to be the number that we pick from 0 to 10. So it's going to be that random number. So whatever this gets set to, that's what the variable is. And so the same would work if I did, let's see, if I did this instead of pick a random number. So if I did set num to 5, then num, our variable, would now be 5. So if I put it in here, this is 5. But we're going to use the pick random number block. And instead of from 0 to 0 or 0 to 10, we're going to say from 0 to 1. So we wanted to pick a random number from 0 to 1. So it can only
Coach Aid,
0 or 1. Yeah.
do we have to put the first block in variables in the else if?
Say that again.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Okay.
I was just asking, I was just wondering if we had to put the first block in variables after you're done making a variable, in the else if, in the.
Oh no,
right
no, I just did that for demonstration. No.
Okay.
Okay. So now it's picking a random number between 0 and 1, and it can only pick 0 or 1. So now what it's going to do is after it picks that number, and then we're going to tell it if it picks 0, we want it to turn maybe left or right, and then if it picks 1, we want it to turn the other way. So I'm going to say if num, so in our first if, I'm going to go back to variable, and I'm going to take out the variable num. So if num equals to 0, we'll start off with 0, which is the default there. Then we want it to do something. So now we can take all of this code that we made here, and we can put it in our first or second block, whatever you guys want. So I'm going to take out the This might be a little hard. So I'm gonna first move all of this, and I'm gonna move it to the top here, like that. And I just want these 2 blocks. So the 2 blocks that we made before, I'm gonna put that in our first if. So that might be a little, a lot of maneuvering for you guys. But let me know
Yeah,
when
I'm
you
gonna
guys
have to
get
try
that.
and figure that out.
Yeah.
My EV3 brick just scared me right now.
Oh.
It turned off by itself.
Yeah, it turns off by itself if you don't use it for a certain amount of time. I think that, I'm not sure if there's a setting for it. I think there is. I don't know. But I think it's like 30 minutes, the default. If you don't use it for like 30 minutes, then it doesn't do anything.
It's just freaky. Like, you're focused on the code and it turns off and you're like,
Yeah. All right. So do you guys have this block in here?
Not yet. I'm still trying to figure it out.
All right, and it might just be easier, like I had these 2 blocks up here. It might just be easier to go delete these 2 and just recreate it. But what I did is I clicked on the red block and I moved that after the stop all motor, and then I moved these 2 into the first if. Yeah, it can be a little confusing sometimes. We're kind of getting to a little more complex programs.
Can I show you mine just to make sure that it's the right way?
Okay.
Okay.
and then Coach Saeed, do we duplicate those 2 blocks that we just dragged into the if then and put in the else if, but then change the tank motors to like reverse?
I'm not there, but yes.
So is this how it is supposed to be?
I can't really see your screen.
Like that?
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah. I can't really see it like like I can see like the outline, but it looks good. Just, yeah, try to copy it as best as you can to mine.
Okay.
All right, so now it's gonna pick a random number, and if it picks 0, then it's gonna turn, for me, I think that was right. So it's gonna turn right. So now we can say if it picks 1, then it'll turn left. So I'm gonna go back into variables and pick out the variable num again, and I'm gonna put it in our second if statement, so our else if. And now instead of 0, we're gonna say if it's equal to 1. Make sure you have your symbols correct. So if it's equal to 1, now we want it to make a left turn. So I'm gonna copy these 2. You can copy these 2 blocks, or you could just make new ones. So I'm gonna make new ones so you guys can see which blocks I'm using. So the first one was the steer motor. And it's gonna look really similar to our first if statement, so this one, but it's just gonna have one change. So it's gonna, and actually now that I think about it, we should do something slightly different. So I'm gonna delete this block first. So we wanted to move back and then do the turn. So we can say that we just wanted to do the turn here, and we can put the move back at the top. Since moving back isn't determined by the random number. So what I'm saying is that I'm gonna take the tank motor block, I'm gonna put it in front of that, and I'm gonna take the steer motor, and that's gonna go on the top after our stop all motor block. So we're only gonna have tank motor blocks in our if statements.
I'm
Yeah.
still trying to catch up, just to let you know.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, the program's gonna stay on the screen.
Yeah.
All right.
Coach Saeed, what does LSR stand for? You named your program LSR autonomous mode.
Yeah. So LSR, we're making a Lego sweeper robot. So LSR, Lego sweeper robot. That's why I named it. I didn't want to type that all out. All right. So our second else if is gonna also have the tank motor block. So I'll go back into motor and click on tank motor. But this time we're gonna change one thing. So right here we have 50 and -50. So instead of B being positive, we're going to make B negative this time and C positive. And we'll keep the rotations the same, 0.7, since that seemed to work well for a 90-degree turn. So now our robot, instead of just going right or instead of just going left whenever it encounters an obstacle, it'll pick one. It'll do one on random. So it might go left one time, it might go right another time, or it might go left twice in a row. It'll be random. But this way we kind of have some variation in our program. So we're not only going one way. And I want you guys to download this and try it out, and I'll try it out. And you might not see the variation at first, but if you let it run, hopefully you should see it.
I just wish I could connect with Bluetooth on this thing since the wire is so hard to attach since my ultrasonic sensor is right on the top.
Okay, so there is Bluetooth, but it's still in beta testing. So you can try it. The site has instructions for you to try it, but they're like saying is basically that there's no guarantees of it working 100%. So the cord is the safest way to stick to it, but if you can do Bluetooth, so it is Bluetooth compatible. It's just not like out there yet.
I mean, I can take off the ultrasonic sensor and then mount it back on.
Coach Aid, I think I got all the programming in the right form now.
Okay.
Not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure I did because I went, I made sure I did it the right.
Okay.
You know, I'm just gonna download it.
Yeah, there's only one way to know if it's working. That's to try it. So just try it and see if it works.
So it's supposed to, like if something goes in front of it, it should go back.
It's doing the exact same thing it did before, but this time it might not turn left, just left. So it might turn right or left, or right one time and left the other time. So it depends.
Mm-hmm.
I might need to restart my computer.
Okay, mine's only making right turns, which is kind of weird. I guess it's picking the same number every time. All right, did anyone have any luck?
No, I had to restart my computer.
Uh-oh. All right,
Because
Sid, how about you?
Hey, Aid.
Yeah.
Our robot didn't choose. So when we had it run into the couch in the first place, it went to the left, and then when we did it again, it just did the same thing.
Okay.
It didn't choose the right.
It's possible that we don't have our ranges correct.
Or
All right, so let's try something different.
Or maybe it chose left. Maybe it chose left again.
Yeah, because mine kept on choosing right, and it might be because that this pick random, maybe it's when it says from 0 to 1, it's talking about everything in between that. So that might be why it's not working. Let's try something different. So we're gonna say pick a random number from 0 to 100 this time. And what we'll do is our first block will be if the number is less than 50, and our second block can be if the number is greater than 50. And one of them is going to have to be equal to. So if it gets a number that is 50, or else it just won't do anything. So I think I'm going to change my first one to less than or equal to 50. And my second number will be greater than 50. So those are so let's see how many things I changed. I changed 5 things. So the first thing I changed was the second value for the pick random number. The second thing I changed was these 2 numbers here, or the number and the sign. So I changed this to 50 instead of 1. And I changed this from equal to less than or equal to. and our second number is greater than 50. And then let's try it. Now it should have some more variation. And since we did it from 0 to 100, it should have more randomness, I guess. The results should vary.
I know a way to make it even more random. You get 100 if then blocks and code each one of them.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's no need to go too much into the variation because it can only turn left or right. That's only two ways you can turn it. It's a 50-50 chance. What we're doing is just we're increasing like the range. So it's kind of, yeah, it'll kind of vary a little bit more.
I'm getting hiccups.
So I think mine was working.
Mhm.